I'm so thankful to be here with you. And I know that I say that all the time, but I really do mean that. Check my chair here. But let's start with your legs stretched straight in front of you, heels down, toes up in the air, and just rotating our thigh bones side to side. And you're welcome to hold onto your chair, the seat of the chair, or the back of your chair. Yeah, I've gotten pretty good, and hopefully I've encouraged you somewhat to remember that just moving for an hour a day is not enough for the body. It's not enough for the body to thrive. And so I've gotten pretty good at doing a twist here and there, a side bend here and there, stretching my feet. In some ways, my body craves it and asks for it as I'm going throughout my day, and I'll just do random things that we do in classes. But the sustained movement, for an hour or for however how long you can participate does make a difference. It does feel really good to keep moving in different ways for a while. It gets the blood flowing everywhere all at once. So let's do a few more rotations of our thigh bones here. Try to feel like you're turning from the very top of your thigh bone, turning out and turning in. And then next time you turn out, so your toes slightly turn out to the side, from this position you're going to point and flex your ankles, but your feet stay turned out to the side, so it's a little bit different. Point and flex, point and flex, point and flex, point and flex. And then if you have to adjust yourself because you were scooting back off your chair, feel free to do that. And then we'll turn our thigh bones in, and from our thigh bones in, we'll point and flex, point and flex, and it's okay if it doesn't come to the floor. Point and flex, point and flex. And then of course, last but not least, heels down, toes straight up. Point and flex, point and flex, point and flex, and point, and hold the pointing and drop your chin down to your chest right through the center. Soften your face, relax your jaw. Breathing. And then bring your head up nice and slowly, flex your ankles nice and slowly, and then from here we'll bend our knees and we'll walk our feet into a wide V. So walking your feet out to your sides, still point the outer edges of your feet forward, let your thigh bones open, and then with your arms hanging in front of your thighs about shoulder distance apart, you're going to rotate from the top of your arm bones, rotate your arm bones one way and then the other way. But we're going to do it pretty quickly, slow enough that you can, feel what you're doing, but we're going to rotate as we raise our arm bones. And so it's slow, but as I rotate, I'm slowly going up with my arms as well. And just up a little tiny bit at a time. But you're rotating your arm bones all the way one way and all the way the other way. And then be conscious as you get a little higher, the ribs might start wanting to lift up. Keep the ribs dropping down. Keep tilting your pelvis into neutral. And then just keep rotating all the way up. And then keep rotating, slower if you get any cracking and popping, and start to go back down. And try to turn all the way one way, so it's like the elbows hug in and the elbows go way out. And keep on going down till you're back inside your thighs. And then once you're inside your thighs, we're going to do all of these with our palms facing forward. You're going to walk your hands as wide as your knees. And then as you lift your arms up, keep your arms nice and wide and tap down to your knees. Then come in about shoulder distance apart, maybe a little wider, and lift straight up here without the ribs going up, palms face behind you, and come down. And then bring your pinky fingers together, and without the ribs going up, lift your arms up. They might not go as high. And lower back down. Okay, let's do that same thing, but make our way out. So keep your pinky fingers together. Lift your arms up any amount without the ribs coming up, without forcing. and lower down. Open your hands to about shoulder distance apart. Lift up. When your arms get in the air, they might be a little bit wider. That's okay. And lower down to your outer knees, and then lift up nice and wide and lower down. All right, interlace your finger, right pinky finger on the bottom, press away. Try to get a nice even interlace where your fingers aren't splaying apart, your thumbs stretch away from each other and back towards you. Your hands, instead of being up by your shoulders, is a little bit lower in line with your chest, and then you're gonna roll from the outer edges of your feet to the inner edges of your feet. Go nice and slow, listen to your knees. If there's any range of motion that doesn't feel good, go a little slower. But if you feel any pressure in your knees, make sure your feet aren't tucked behind your knees. Bring them forward so that your ankles are a little bit in front of your knees. Taking your time, feeling. And then next time your thighs drop in, hold, switch the crossing of your fingers. So put the opposite pinky finger on the bottom, press away, get that even interlace without the fingers coming apart. If you have to pull all the fingers apart a little bit, do that. Spread your thumbs away from each other, press away, hands low, chest tight, and then we'll open the thighs and let them go in nice and slowly. And open. And relax in. 2 more like that. And open. And relax in. And open. And relax in. Okay, now open, hold. Again, straighten out your feet. Release your hands. Bring your hands back wide. Think pelvis upright, ribs relax down. And then with your arms wide, open your arms high so they're nice and wide and high. And twist your belly to the right. And twist your belly to the left. Let's do 1 more each side. Twist the belly to the right. And twist the belly to the left. And then come back the center. Bring your arms back down. Bring your hands in shoulder distance apart. Lift your arms up without the ribs going up. Palms, arm bones rotate so elbows are forward, palms face behind you. Pelvis upright, ribs relax down. Twist the belly button to the right. Twist the belly button to the left. Belly button to the right. Belly button to the left. And then back to center. Bring your hands down, pinky fingers together. Doesn't matter how high the arms go. It's not about where you're getting to. It's more about just sticking to your alignment skills. So lifting your arms up without the pelvis sinking back, without the ribs lifting up. Hold. Twist your belly to the right. Keep breathing. Twist your belly to the left. Twist your belly to the right. Twist your belly to the left. And then come back to center and release your arms down. Okay, walk your feet in. We're gonna spin around for a lunge. And what are we gonna do in our first lunge here? We're gonna do fingers. I knew I wanted to show you something. So before we turn to the side, because it might be a little bit difficult to see, you're gonna hold one hand at a time out in front of you, and you're gonna pull back on your pinky finger. And this is nothing new to you. We're doing this finger stretch. But what we're gonna do while you're holding your finger back is you're gonna rotate your arm bone one way and rotate your arm bone the other way, and see how that changes the finger stretch. And for each finger, we'll do 1 rotation each way. So spin around to your right for a lunge. Slide your leg back. Get yourself set up so you can be stable on your chair, because you're not going to be able to hold on. And then from there, with your knee right under your hip, reach your outside arm forward, shoulder, elbow, wrist in line. Pull back gently on your pinky finger and rotate your elbow one way and the other way, and come back to center. Pull back gently on your ring finger. Rotate, rotate, and back to center. Elbow points down. Pull back on your middle finger. Rotate, rotate in, back to center, and then pull back on your pointer finger. Rotate, rotate, back to center, and then gently pull your thumb away from your other fingers and back. Rotate, rotate, and back to center. And then release that hand, slide your leg forward, spin around to the other side. So ankle right under the knee, knee slides back right under the hip, the back ankle, toes can be tucked under or top of the foot, your choice. We'll go back and forth between the two in a later lunge. Ribs relax down, reach your outside arm forward, shoulder, elbow, wrist in line, gently pull your pinky finger back, rotate and rotate. Feel the connection between the muscles in the hand and the fingers and the movement of the arm. Pull back on the ring finger, rotate, rotate, and go over to the middle finger, rotate, rotate, and pull back gently on the pointer finger, rotate, rotate, and then pull the thumb down and back gently, rotate, rotate, and release that arm and slide that leg forward and spin back around to the front of the chair. Okay, we're going to do either crossing your ankle over your knee or using a block, but we're going to do two different versions. So version one is you're going to put your foot up and you're just on the outer edge of your foot, just be on the very outer edge of your foot, whereas usually you might cross over farther on your ankle. Two is to either cross over your ankle, but if you always do that, maybe go a little bit farther over so that you're crossed over a little further. So you're just slightly changing the angle of this leg, even though it's crossed over both times. Watch the bottom leg. If it caves in, open it back up so your ankle is right under your knee and your knee's in line with your hip. If crossing your ankle over doesn't work for you, then you'll do two angles by having your foot inside your other foot on a block, and then you can do the second angle by walking it over a little bit and doing it there. So kind of the same thing, you're getting different angles in your hip, your choice using a block or ankle over the knee. So whichever you're choosing, let's do the outer edge of the foot straight or the block a little bit farther away, straight, farther away from your foot. And then from here, let's lean forward nice and slowly, hinging forward from the hips, breathing. And then come back up, keep tilting your pelvis upright, and nice and slowly, side to side with your neck. As your ear goes over to your shoulder, make sure you're not leaning your torso over, and notice if your chin tends to pop forward. Slide your chin back as you go side to side. And this is one of those ones that just gets better and better over time. At first, sometimes you feel like you have to hike your shoulders up. Everything tenses up as your ear drops over to the side. Eventually, it will happen with a lot less tension. All right, and then bring your head up through center and hinge forward again and try to keep your hips centered so you're on both hips at the same time and move your torso a little bit side to side, like you're just going over to the left a little and over to the right a little. And feel how the position of your body, your upper body, when it moves, it changes how you feel the sensations in your hips. Okay, bring your torso back to center. If you're using the block, scoot it in a little closer or farther away if you were closer. Otherwise, slide over so you're either at your ankle or a little bit farther over. And then from here, hinge forward just a little bit. And feel free, sometimes we will change it up, but feel free, since we just do normal ankle crossed over the knee a lot, feel free to change it up sometimes, especially if in one of these you're like, ooh, I can really feel my hips in a different way. All right, and then come up. So we're gonna do head drops, but we're gonna do them in two different ways. We'll do one where from the base of your neck, you drop your head all the way down. We're gonna do that on the next round. But for this one, you're not gonna drop from the base of your neck, you're just gonna drop from the top of your neck. So you're gonna just pretty much tuck your chin in and lift your head back up. So it really just stretches right where the skull meets the back of the neck. You're just gonna tuck your chin in and head comes up. Tuck the chin in and head comes up, and tuck the chin in and head comes up. And then from there, check that knee. You can see how much mine was falling in. Open it up, hinge forward a little bit, and rotate your torso a little side to side. A little bit goes a long way. Breathing. All right, come back to center, come on up, uncross. So you're either starting with the block away from your foot or close to it, and you can move the angle of your block. If you're doing your ankle on your knee, you're just putting the outer edge of your foot or your shoe on your knee, and that thigh drops open to the side. Hinge forward a little bit from the hips. You might notice right away that one side is different than the other. Just breathe through it. Allow. All right, and then come up. Still try to keep rotating your pelvis upright. Ears slide back over the shoulders. Now we'll just turn our head. And try to gently and go side to side at your own pace. Try to twist as much as you can without your torso turning at all to the side. So a lot of times when there's tension, we're trying to turn our head forward. We won't realize that our torso is turning. Try to just turn from the head and the neck. The shoulders don't go anywhere. Keep your chin parallel with the floor. Notice if every time you turn, your chin tends to go up into the air. Breathing. And then bring your head back to center, hinge forward again, and a little rocking of your torso. And let's say you're doing this with your ankle crossed on your knee or your foot crossed on your knee and you're feeling pressure in your knee. That's a good sign that you want to practice on a block or a stool or something under your foot instead. You shouldn't feel anything in the joints in particular. Most of the work should be in the muscles. Okay, come on up. Either move your block or slide your ankle over. You can do just the ankle, but if you always do the ankle, maybe try to go over a little further and then hinge forward a little bit there. And I can tell that I haven't done this one in a while with my foot farther over. All right, come on up. And now we're going to do the full head drop. So not just the chin tucking in, but from the base of your neck, you're going to let your head slowly drop down. And without lifting your ribs at all, you're going to slowly slide your head back, like a little bit of a head ramp, but you're just bringing your ears back over your shoulders. Drop your head all the way down from the base of the neck without leaning your torso forward. And slowly come up. Let's do that a couple more times. Feel the stretch down the back of the neck, maybe down between the shoulder blades. And bring the head back up. And one more. Slowly let the head drop down. Let your head take its time. And then slowly come back up. And then from there, if that knee's collapsing in, open it and hinge forward. And a little shift of your torso here. A little bit goes a long way. It might be really small. That's okay. Breathing. It might feel like you're barely moving. That's okay. When you're barely moving, but you're still moving a little bit, because you can tell that's when you're often getting into those little nooks and crannies. All right, bring your torso back to center, lift up, uncross. Put your block by your side if you were using it. Scoot your left hip over so it's at the center of the chair. Extend your right leg long out to the side. Just point your toes forward. Mix it up. Sometimes be on the inner edge of your foot. Sometimes come to the sole of your foot. So listen to what your body's asking for today, or if you always do one, switch it up. And then from here, with your hand on your breastbone, really feel the ribs drop down and back. And let's do a few head ramps here, where you purposely let your head relax forward a little bit. And if you have a forward head position, it should be really easy to do. And then you just slide your ears back over your shoulders, tilting your chin down slightly. And over time, you'll feel more than just the back of the neck get long. You'll start to feel the whole upper back engage, sometimes even the mid back. Okay, next time your head ramps back, reach your right arm to your side and take it up and over into a side bend. My head already stopped ramping, so I'm going to ramp it back again and bring your arm over. And go up and over. Pay attention to what your neck does as you move your arm up and down. Our body will often just go into the habits that we have. And then bring your arm down and slide your right leg in. Scoot your right hip to the center of the chair and extend your left leg out to the side. And turn your toes to point forward. You can be on the sole of your foot or the inner edge of your foot. I had someone ask me a really good question, which was, what if I'm kind of in between the two? That's okay too, but try to do all the way the sole and try to do all the way the inner edge of the foot as well. All right, so that gives you 3 different options really. All right, from here, ribs relax down, breastbone in vertical, and we'll slide the head back, ramping the ears back over the shoulders. At first, if your ribs were really lifted and you have to drop your ribs down a lot and your head kind of comes forward, your ramping might look more like this, where you're looking down at the floor. Be patient. That's where mine was when I started too, because I have such a forward head position and I lifted my ribs for so long. Eventually the muscles will start to gain more range of motion and you'll be more upright. So be patient with it. You're not doing anything wrong if that's how you feel. All right, from there, pay attention to what your neck does as you reach your left arm up and over into a side bend and come down. My chin just really wants to go forward. And up and over and back down. Let's do a couple more. And up and over and back down and over and back down. Okay, let's spin around for another lunge. Slide your left leg in, spin around to the right, slide that knee back underneath your hip, and then we'll focus on the foot first, top of the foot to toes tuck under. And tucking your toes under is flexing your ankle. That's part of the motion, so just keep that in mind. Top of the foot, gently press down, even so much that you get a little lift of the front of your ankle. Flex and tuck your toes under. Top of the foot, flex and tuck your toes under. Top of the foot, flex and tuck your toes under. Hold, twist your belly button to the back of the chair. Hold onto the back of the chair and really feel your waist twist without force. Gently feel like you're pushing down through your heel or back through your heel of the knee that's dropping towards the floor. Breathing, and unwind your twist, slide that leg forward, spin around to the other side. So a lunge on the other side, knee sides back, ankle is right behind the knee, and we'll start top of the foot, and ankle flex, tuck under. Top of the foot, ankle flex and tuck under. Top of the foot, and tuck your toes under, ball of the foot under, one more. Top of the foot, tuck the toes under, hold, feel that ankle gently press back and ribs relax down as you turn your belly button towards the back of your chair. Breathing, where did your head go? Did it kind of flop forward just a little bit? Can you slide your ears back over your shoulders just a little more without lifting the ribs up? The ribs lifting up and the head coming forward kind of go hand in hand, and when you try to move the head back, the ribs will often go up more. Breathing. And then unwind your belly button, slide that leg forward, spin back around to the front of the chair, and from here we'll do a top of the foot stretch, so you'll tuck the top of your right foot back behind you on a pillow or on a cushion. Might be more comfortable for your foot, and then bring the backs of your hands together. Try to bring them as close together as they'll come. See if eventually the thumbs can touch. Notice if your fingers veer to one side or the other. Try to bring them straight up and down. They can kind of weave in between each other. And then from there, see how far you can drop your wrists down without your hands coming apart at all. And if not, just keep them higher. Notice if your fingers turn towards you, can you turn them up to the ceiling a little bit more, but relax your shoulders still. Okay, and then release your hands and let's switch feet. Tuck the top of the other foot underneath the chair. And then from here, bring the backs of the hands together again, weaving the fingers. Maybe the thumbs come together. Maybe the wrists drop down. Check if your fingers tend to lean to one side or the other. And then from here, slowly slide your hands to one side and pause when you get over to that side. And then slide your hands to the other side. And usually we go pretty quickly side to side, but today we're going to go a little bit slower. So slide your hands over to one side, and you might see right away that, oh, I have more tension in one of my forearms. For me, it's my right, or my left, sorry. I was thinking of mirroring you. And go over to the other side. And slide. And slide. And then come back to center and release the back of your hands. Whew, I could feel that. Okay, bring your foot out, grab a block or whatever you use for a block, and you're gonna put it in front of your right foot, and you're gonna put the heel up and the toes up in the air, and then hinge forward a little bit from the hip. And you're going to, you might have to pick up your foot if the block is unstable like my block, but you're gonna hinge forward here for just a moment. And then you're going to come up and you're going to rotate your thigh bone so your toes turn out to the side, and you're going to hinge forward here. Try not to let the knee bend and come up. And we're going to do a bunch of different angles, so we're just going to go in for a moment and come out. So turn your foot the other way. Rotate your thigh bone so your knees and toes turn in. Just rest it on the block the best you can. And you might feel once you rotate and you put your foot up on the block, you might not even have to hinge forward. You might already feel a stretch, but you can hinge forward a little bit if you choose to. And come up nice and slowly. And then you're going to take your foot off the block, and you're going to take that block over to the right a little bit. And you're going to stick your foot up on the block and start with your toes up in the air and hinge forward, rotating the pelvis here. And then come up nice and slowly. Now rotate your thigh bone out so your toes, and it can be from a little bit to a lot. Just turn your thigh bone any amount out to the side and maybe hinge forward here. Again, just sitting in this position with your leg turned in that way might be enough. I just want to emphasize that you don't have to hinge forward, and come up and rotate your thigh bone so your knee and your toes turn in slightly and hinge forward here. Try not to let the knee bend at all. And then come on up. And now you're going to take that block and put it over in front of your left foot. And you're going to reach your right ankle across and start same thing with your toes straight up in the air and hinge forward. And then rotate your thigh bone so your toes turn any amount out to the side. The rotation is happening from the top of the thigh bone, and hinge forward here. And if you're finding that you're not getting any of these ranges of motion, please don't force. And come up and rotate your thigh bone in so your knees and your toes turn the opposite way, and maybe hinge forward here. And come up and bring your foot back. And now the block is in front of your left foot. Heel up, toes up in the air. Hinge forward here. Try to feel like you're moving mostly from the pelvis, even though your spine is going a little bit forward. And then come up, rotate your thigh bone one way. Take your time to let that leg straighten, and then maybe hinge forward here. And then come up nice and slowly and rotate your thigh bone in the other direction, straightening your leg and hinge forward here. And come on up, and then undo your foot. Walk it out to the left. A little bit goes a long way. Put your heel, toes straight up in the air and hinge forward here. And then come up, rotate your thigh bone all the way one way. Hinge forward here. Take your time, relax your lower belly. If you start to feel it a lot in your lower back, don't go so far forward with the spine. Instead, try to rotate the pelvis a little bit more forward. And then come up and rotate your thigh bone in the other direction. And it's a good lesson in some ways to see where the hips stop working and the spine starts working. Because if you don't rotate forward from your pelvis here and you just fold at your spine, you'll feel a lot more in your lower back. But if you actually get your pelvis rotating, you'll feel a lot more in your buttocks and the side of your hip and the back of your thigh. All right, and come up, and last but not least, let's bring the block back over in front of the right foot and reach the left leg across, heel down, toes up. And hinge forward here, 2 straight legs. And come up, rotate the thigh bone all the way one way so the knees and toes slightly turn. And hinge forward here. Breathing. And come up and rotate your thigh bone in the other direction. And hinge forward here. And slowly come up and bend that knee and bring it back. Okay, slide the block or whatever you're using out of the way. We're going to come into a lunge. We're going to do a couple things with our neck, so listen carefully, but spin around into your lunge. And we'll start with the ankle straight behind the knee, just like a classic lunge. And then from here, we'll do just the chin tuck. So just the chin tuck, very slight, not dropping your head down, ribs are down, chin tucked in. With your chin tucked in, slowly turn your head side to side like you're nodding no. And then just the chin tucked in, nod yes. And it's really small. But you're just pulling right on those muscles at the base of your skull where they meet your neck. All right, head comes up. Take that outside leg and scoot your foot out further away from the chair. So you're changing the angle of the rotation of the thigh, ribs relax down, and now from here, drop your inside ear, the one closest to your chair, to your shoulder. And with your ear dropping over to your shoulder, slowly nod your head no. Very small motion. And then pause and nod your head yes. Soften the face, relax the jaw. And then bring your head back up nice and slowly. Now take that outside leg, bring it back behind your knee, and then scoot it over towards your chair a little bit. So again, changing the rotation of that thigh. And you can be holding onto your chair pretty good here. And now turn and look towards the back of your chair. So a neck turn, try to relax your shoulders. And with your head turning to the back of the chair, slowly nod your head no. And you're not coming back to forward, so it's a little nod. It's like you're coming out of the twist a tiny bit and going back in. And then keep the twist and slowly nod your head yes. And then bring your head back to center, bring your foot back to center, slide it forward, and let's do the other side. Again, all kinds of good stuff today. Okay, slide the knee back right underneath the hip, ankle behind the knee, ribs relax down, pelvis upright. So now you're going to drop your head all the way down, not just the chin tuck, but let from the base of your head, your neck go all the way down. And from there, nod your head yes, nice and slowly. So it's just like your chin lifts a little bit and tucks back in, but your head stays dropping down. And then keep your head dropping down and nod your head yes, nice and slowly. Oh, I think I just mixed up my yes and my no. So hopefully you're just doing one and then the other. All right, bring your head back to center, lift your head up, scoot that leg away from the chair a little bit, hold there, drop your ear over towards the shoulder that's by the back of your chair. And then from here, with your ear going over to your shoulder, slowly nod your head no. And then bring your ear back to facing your shoulder and nod your head yes. Take your time. You want to go slow and be gentle, especially when it comes to your neck, especially if you tend to have issues with your neck. All right, bring your head up nice and slowly. Slide that foot back to center. Now take it over towards the chair a little bit. Here's where you might have to hold on a little tighter, but still try to relax your shoulders. And then turn and look over the back of your chair. And then a little nod no here. And then how about with this head turning to the back of the chair, a little nod yes. And then slowly unwind your head, bring your leg back, slide it forward, spin back around to the front of the chair, and then with your ankles right underneath your knees, you're going to hinge forward and push down to come up and come around to the back of your chair. All right, from the back of your chair, 2 hands on either side, walk back, 2 straight arms, 2 straight legs. Relax the belly, let the tailbone go up into the air. You can always have a higher back to your chair, which actually I prefer, but I do this all day long on different countertops and different backs of the chairs. Breathing here, notice if your head always drops to the floor, ramp the back of your head up towards the ceiling. How about doing this with our knee bent? So if you need to walk your feet forward a little bit so that when you bend your knees, they don't go past your ankles, and sit your hips back and let your hips drop down as you slide back. Keep the length in the arms. Relax your lower belly. If you're pretty good at sticking your buttocks back and your spine is flat, maybe doing a little lift of your ribs. And then press into your feet to come up. And from here, let's do a feet straight, ankles hip distance apart. Push down through your outer right hip, hug it in, tap your toes behind you. And then you can either bring them forward and flex your ankle and float, or tap your foot down there. Tap and bring forward. Weight back in the heels. Tap and bring forward, and tap and hold. So with your back leg back there like a kickstand, with your bottom of your toes touching the floor, we're going to work on this standing leg. The pelvic lift is what we want to do pretty much all the time when we're walking, but we can practice it to strengthen. So you let your hip go out to the side, which is what you don't want to happen when you're walking, but we're letting this happen here, or you might notice your hip already naturally goes out to the side, and you're pushing down and hugging in. So you're stacking all of your joints, your ankle, your knee, and your hip. Now for some people, go ahead and do that a few times, the hip's not going to go out very much to the side. And for you, focus more on a pressing down action. So you're creating more space between your joints and at the same time strengthening these outer buttocks and outer hip muscles. Let's do that a couple more times. And take your time with it. And when you go out, try not to fall out. Like if you go out slowly, you're also stretching those muscles in a way. And then as you push down and hug in, you work the whole area. All right, let's switch feet. Feet straight, ankles hip distance. Push down through the left hip, hug it in. And at first we'll just tap, keep your weight back in your heels, and leg floats forward. And tap, and float forward. Tap, and float. Tap, hold. And now let's work. Weight back in the heel. Hip goes out, press down and hug in. Go slow. So it's not just like the hip flies out. You're letting the hip go out slowly. And you're pushing down and bringing it in, or just more pushing down. And hip goes out. And press down and hug in. And hip goes out. This move is crucial. It really is. Push down and hug it. So the eventual goal is to build that much strength in your hips so you can do that action while hanging on one leg without bending your knee and without hiking your hip up. But you can just float on one leg and let the hip go out slowly and slowly pull it back in. but sometimes it's really challenging at first to do just from the floor, even though if you have a hip replacement, it's often not suggested that you do it on a block unless you specifically talk to your doctor. So put your foot up on a block or a book or something higher that's stable, and you can have your chair nearby that you can hold on to. And sometimes that hanging out in the air, that little bit of height, allows you to work on the action with a little bit more ease, because then you can let your foot at least float and be straight. And eventually you're trying to push down and hug in so much that the hanging leg goes a little bit higher than the leg that's standing without the hip hiking way up to the side. Of course, the hip is going to lift up a little bit. Let's try the other leg. And of course, weight back in the heel. If you're feeling a lot of work in the front of the leg or the front side of the leg, that means that you're working with your hips forward and you have to back your buttocks and your thigh bone up more. Just make sure your heel is on whatever one you're standing on. Push down, hug that hip in. Of course, you can have your fingers on a chair and you're letting the hip slowly go out and then pushing down and hugging in. And hip slowly goes out and press down and hug it. And I would even recommend, I'm going to do each side one more time, so if you want to follow along with me, at first, you could do it a little quickly. That's where people start out, is you kind of let your hip go out and in. But just like anything else, if you really want to build the strength, you have to go a little bit slower. So I'm going to go back to that one side and flex and go out and in, just at a steady pace. And then eventually, to get stronger, you go a little slower, but we'll practice again in a moment. But I just wanted you to have that motion of the pushing down and hugging in. We're not going to do it so much. Go ahead and put your hands on the chair and walk back. 2 straight arms, 2 straight legs. Bring your right hand over on top of your left hand, and then from there, push your hips back and sit your hips back. Bend your knees and feel like you're pulling your hips back gently. And then press into your feet, walk your hands all the way over to the other side of the chair, left hand on top of the right, and push your hips back with 2 straight legs, and then sit back. And you can check, are your feet straight? Are your ankles hip distance? Are your knees caving in? Pull both of your hips straight back here, breathing. And then press to come up, and then grab that block, the thin block, or if you want to use a rolled up towel or whatever you have for a calf stretch, we'll put the ball of the right foot up, the heel down, outer edges of feet straight, and then you'll step your left foot forward any amount and just hold the calf stretch for a moment. And you can even work on the standing leg would be the leg that's up on the block. Is that hip tend to want to go out a little bit? Push down and hug it in. And eventually, even in a calf stretch, you could push down and hug in so that your other foot can come in. And then also that helps you keep the weight back in the heel, because being in a calf stretch kind of tips your weight back into your heel. So you could work on pelvic listing while you're in a calf stretch, and it'll even allow you to step your foot forward with more ease over time. Okay, let's switch the calf stretch. So ball of the left foot up, heel down, outer edges of feet straight. And if you find the balancing part in the calf stretch really tricky, maybe start with something a little bit lower. And then from here, you can push down and check, does your hip tend to go out? Hug it in, and eventually that other foot just might float up. And then it could make it easier to step it forward. Press down, hug the hip in, weight stays back in the heel, and maybe the foot steps forward a little bit. And take a couple breaths there. So I wanted you to have that action of feeling your outer hips engage. Later on in class, we're going to do a bunch of balancing stuff, but I actually prefer you hold on to the chair because I want you to focus more on the leg that's in the air, but I want a little bit of your awareness on the standing leg and like, am I working that leg a little bit? Is my weight back over my heels? And just a quick refresher, hips over heels is we don't want to carry our weight forward. We want our hips back. So if you're not sure about that, watch that video under the alignment skills. But let's stand with our feet straight, ankles hip distance, push down through your right hip, tuck the top of your left foot behind you. Try to keep that foot straight rather than letting the ankle roll out to the side, so you're doing a top of the foot stretch. And let's do a slow pelvic lift. So slowly let your hip go out and slowly push down and hug it in. Slowly let the hip go out. Slowly push down and hug it in. And then come up, feet straight, ankles hip distance. Push down through the left hip, hug it in. Tuck the toes behind you. Try to watch that ankle from rolling to one side or the other if the foot cramps come out. Just like riding a bicycle or walking even. The quicker you walk and the quicker you ride, the more forgiving your body is. But to slow down and ride or to slow down and walk, it more easily shows us what's going on in the body. So that's why we start slowing down the movement. So we'll let that hip go out to the side slowly and slowly press down and hug in. And we'll do that one more time. The hip goes out nice and slowly push down and hug in. And then from there, bring that top of the foot back. You're standing at the top of the mat, feet straight, ankles hip distance. Sit back into a chair squat and press up. And sit back and press up. And sit back and press up. And sit back, step your right leg way back behind you. Start with your right palm up, low, so right above your left hand. Reach it across. Open up, go a little bit higher. Reach across. Open up, a little higher. Reach across. Open up, a little higher. Reach across. Open up. Hand comes down, push into the heel of the front foot, off the whole ball of the back foot to step up. Feet straight, ankles hip distance, sit back into that chair pose. Step your left leg back, land on the center of the ball of the foot. Front ankle right under the knee, foot straight. Flip your left hand up, start low, go across, open up a little bit higher. Go across, open up a little higher. Reach across, open up a little higher, reach across, and open up, and bring that hand down, push into the heel of the front foot, the ball of the back foot, to push down to step up, and then walk back one more time, feet straight, arms straight, push your hips back. Great time to practice kneecap relax or rotating your thigh bones into neutral with kneecap relax. Breathing. And then come on back up and step your feet nice and wide. Outer edges of the feet straight. And we'll do a one knee squat. So you'll sit back with your right hip. Try not to let the knee go past your ankle. Everything is sliding back. Left leg is straight. And then bend over and sit back. One knee bent, one leg straight. Over to the right, breathing. Over to the left. Over to the right, hold, interlace right pinky finger on the bottom, press away, and bring your hands in, over to the left, switch the crossing of the fingers, press away, gently spread the thumbs away from each other, and come back. Now your chair is in front of you, hands to the chair, back your hips up, reach your right arm straight out to the side, palm face forward, and twist open from the belly as much as you can without your hand turning from facing straight forward, and then bring that hand down. Left arm reaches out, turn open, and hand comes down. Right arm reaches out, turn open, hand comes down. Left arm reaches out, turn open, hand comes down. Right arm reaches out, weight back in the heels, turn open, hand comes down. Left arm reaches out, palm face forward, turn open, and hand comes down. And then heel toe your feet, heels in, toes in, heels in, toes in, heels in, toes in, till you're hip distance apart. And let's do a few calf raises. So we lift our heels up and lower down. And the more you try to go straight up instead of pitching forward, the harder the legs have to work. So for me, the closer I stand to my chair, it helps since my chair is low. Breathing. Push equally into the balls of the feet. Before you even pay attention to how much you thrust forward, Do your ankles turn in or out? Try to keep the ankle straight up and straight down. Straight up, straight down. Straight up, hold. Reach one arm into the air, side bend over to the side. Can you still press equally through the balls of the feet? Lower that hand down. Maybe the heels get a rest. Maybe you keep lifting. Opposite arm lifts up and go over with the arm. Press equally through the balls of the feet. Lower the hand down. And then from here, we do a little bit of balance stuff. So keys are ankles hip distance apart, feet straight, and hips back over the heels. So hips back, not forward, hips back over the heels. It's okay if you feel like your torso is coming forward a little, just back your head up a little and you'll have a straighter spine than you realize. So with feet straight, ankles hip distance apart, push down through the right leg, bend the left heel in, extend, bend, extend. Think of that pelvic listing. Bend, extend, bend, extend. Switch. Push down through that outer hip, hug it in. Bend, extend, bend. Think of the pelvic listing. Extend, bend, extend, bend, extend. So for this next one is really where the hips not forward comes in. When a lot of people lift their knee in front of them, their whole pelvis and their thigh bone goes forward. Can you keep your buttocks back and lift your knee in front of you without tucking your pelvis under? So can you keep your buttocks back? So do the best you can and weight back in the heels. Lift and lower. Lift, sticking the buttocks back a little. Ribs drop down. Push down, pelvic lift. Doesn't matter how high the leg lifts. Take your time on that. Okay, next time your right knee comes up, hold, open, and close. Just think about the pelvic listing. Open and close. Put the right leg down. Push down through the right hip. Left hip lifts up. I felt a little cracking there, so anytime you get cracking, popping, what do? You do slower, less range of motion to start. Open and close. Open and close. Bring it back to center, lower the foot down. How about hand on a chair, push down through one hip, bend the knee in front without tucking the buttocks under, pull it back behind. Bend the knee in front, pull it back behind. Let's try the other side. Feet straight, ankles hip distance. Push down through that hip. Have a chair or a wall nearby and bend the leg in front, pull it back behind. Bend the leg in front without tucking the buttocks under and pull it back behind. And then bring that foot down. Okay, let's do a complete circle. Feet straight, ankles hip distance apart. Push down through the right hip. Lift the left knee in front without tucking. Open to the side. Back it up. Bring it in close and go across. And then circle in the other direction. Foot comes down. Feet straight, ankles hip distance. Push down, hug the hip in. Lift up in front without tucking the buttocks under. Open to the side. Back it up. Take your time. Walk it in close. Lift in front. Open. Go in the other direction. Drawing a complete slow circle. And lower the leg down. All right. From here, let's come back to our feet wide and sit back into the right hip and sit back into the left hip. Sit back to the right, sit back to the left. Back to the right, really slide the shins back. Those knees will want to pop forward for a long time. Sit back to the left, toes pointing straight ahead. One more each side. Sit back to the right. Sit back to the left. Come through center, feet straight, ankles hip distance, or excuse me, feet wide, feet straight, feet wide, ankles wide. Reach your right arm out to the right, palm face forward, twist open and hold. Reach up through that arm without thrusting the ribs forward. Breathing. Hand comes down. Left arm out to the side, palm face forward. Twist open, reach up through that arm without thrusting the ribs forward. Breathing. Weight back in the heels. And bring that hand down. Walk your feet in, heel toe, heel toe, heel toe, hip distance apart. And we lift up, pressing equally through the balls of the feet. I'm going to get a little closer. It allows me to try to get straighter up and down. And you'll feel a big difference. When you start not pitching yourself forward and getting more of the upward action, it's hard to get your heels up off the ground because then you're asking your calf muscles to lift the weight of your whole body instead of usually you're kind of taking the weight off, so it's easier to get them up. So the more that you're back, you'll know, because it should almost feel like it's hard to get your heels up off the ground. You can create more strength and greater bone density just by stacking your own body. But it's very subtle, but there's a very big difference. Okay, next time your heels go up, hold, twist your belly one direction. Twist your belly the other direction. Heel lifting, pressing equally through the balls of the feet. Come back to center, and let's do a little more balance stuff. So, outer edges of feet straight. That plays a part in balancing, quite a big part. So keep working on it because a lot of times our feet come in and we think they're straight. From here, let's push down through our outer right hip, hand on a chair, hand on a wall, tiny swing backs. Smaller the better. You're not tucking your pelvis under. Your buttocks is back, and just a very small swing back. Very tiny. Switch legs. Push down, hug the hip in, tiny swing back. Okay, go back to the first leg. Push down, hip in. How about out and in? Small. Put the foot down, feet straight, ankles hip distance. Push down through the opposite hip, the ankle flexes. Out and in. A little goes a long way. Start where you are. Start where it's a comfortable range of motion. And if you always tend to go bigger, go smaller. Okay, push down through the hip. How about leg, hanging leg a little bit in front, cross in front. How about take that leg back, cross behind. How about cross in front, cross behind. Cross in front, keep pelvic listing, cross behind. Unwind, feet straight, ankles hip distance. Push down through the outer hip, leg floats up. How about a little bit in front, cross in front again. You're still pelvic listing, weight back in the heel. Take it back a little, cross behind. Cross behind. How about cross in front, cross behind, cross in front, cross behind. Good. Bring your legs hip distance apart. Sit back into a chair pose. Cross your right ankle over your left knee. Sit your hips back. How about switching it and either doing the outer edge of your foot or farther over? And come up and switch. Sit back. Maybe choose a different crossing for today and sit your hips back. Breathing. And press up. And then step your feet as wide as your mat or a little bit wider than normal and push your hips back here. 2 straight arms, 2 straight legs. And then bend your knees and sit back into a wide squat and kind of use your chair as resistance to straighten your arms nice and long. And then press back into your heels, 2 straight legs again, and slowly come up and have a seat on your chair. All right. Sitting up tall, pelvis upright, ribs relax down, arms to the side, flip your wrist down. and up, down, and up, down, and up, down, hold, slowly go up with your arms, slowly go back down. Feel like you're curling all 5 fingers down. Flip your hands so your fingers point up, slowly go up with your arms, slowly go down with your arms. And then from here, let's spin around to our right for a lunge. Slide the leg back, ribs relax down, hinge back, and forward. Hinge back, hold, and forward. Slide the leg forward. Take your time, spin around to the other side. Slide the knee back under the hip, ribs relax down, hinge back, and forward. Hinge back and hold, breathing. And come forward. Slide the leg forward, spin back around to the front of the chair with a block or without. Cross your right ankle over your left. This time do center ankle. On a block, the foot motion's a little bit harder to do, but you can still get all the benefits and just take a forward fold. But otherwise, with your ankle crossed over, point and flex. Point and flex. Rotating forward from the pelvis. Point and flex. Point and flex. And then slowly come up. Switch, either block or cross ankle over the knee. Knee right under the ankle, right under the knee. Knee in line with the outer hip. Crossing right at the ankle. Hinge forward any amount. Take your time. Point and flex. Point and flex. Point and flex. Point and flex. And then come up and uncross and stretch your legs straight, flexing your ankles. First, just tuck your chin in. Then let your head go down. Then maybe your pelvis rotates forward and your spine goes forward a little bit. Keep on breathing. And then slowly roll yourself up and sit all the way back in your chair and let your gaze soften or your eyes gently close and become very present with your body and very present with your breath. So there are lots of reasons that Savasana, just sitting and observing your exercise, is important. And one is because when you move around, you jar things, and maybe things that were stuck inside of you that start flowing through you. You want to feel that. You want to observe that. Because if you can observe that without telling yourself a story or judging yourself for what you feel happening in your body, the body will heal what you're holding on to. But if we don't take the time to observe and feel and just be, there's a lot more chance that whatever was released will just go back to where it was. Now, I don't know all the specifics of this, but I know that there's a lot of science that backs that up. Of course, I wasn't saying it perfectly well, but truly they found that meditation in many ways purifies the body just by observing it, It's very similar if you want to look up the science. It's similar to the way that metal is purified. Like if before they take a space shuttle up into space, they have to purify the metal. Granted, I don't know all the details about what I'm talking about, but if you are into this stuff, you will understand. They have to purify the metal to be safe to travel into space. And our bodies work a lot in the same ways, where our consciousness is what purifies us. And that's one of the reasons that being with your body and just observing it is so important. Take another couple moments here. It only takes a reminder to breathe, a moment to be still, and just like that, something inside settles, softens, makes space for imperfection. The harsh voice of judgment drops to a whisper, and we remember again that life isn't a relay race, that we will all cross the finish line, that waking up to life is what we were born for. As many times as we forget, catch ourselves charging forward without even knowing where we're going, that many times we can make the choice to stop, to breathe and be, and walk slowly into the mystery. Bringing our hands together at heart center in gratitude for this day. Namaste.